You are listening to Pocketful of Diamonds, Book 7 of the Nadia Wolf series, written by Nicolette Pierce. Copyright 2016. Audio copyright 2025 by Pierced Heart Publishing. Digitally narrated with full cast of voices. Chapter 16. Ian watched as the jeeps rolled to a stop in front of him. He tried to maintain his composure, but he felt as if his insides were splintering. His vision pulsed between light and dark. The mercenaries in this area were more lethal than the rebels, and they held no allegiance to anyone. Ian wasn't sure if they were here because of the diamonds or for revenge. Could the rebels have hired them? Either way, he would not be the first to speak. To do so might give them insight into his fears. Two men stepped out from the first jeep, both armed with heavy weapons strapped to their chests and waists. They wore dark green camouflage, something that would blend in with Najamba's surrounding foliage. Could they have been the spies? But why show themselves now? Their jeeps were new, something uncommon in this area. Not only did they have a wealth of weapons, they had uniforms, something that even the rebels didn't possess. This group had money.
"Where is Fode?"
One asked while the other hung back. Who wants to know? Ian countered, amazed that his voice didn't crack. Mercenaries led a brutal life. They were hired to perform tasks that not even the rebels or military would do, which left them with a life only a few dared to walk. The towering man glowered at him, shifting his rifle subtly to remind Ian who was in charge. Ian knew not to anger him, but neither would he roll over and let them hunt down Fode. The fact that these men were muscular told Ian that they were trained to use their bodies as a weapon as well. They were an oddity among the wafer-thin natives. What is your business with Fode? Ian asked, aware he was navigating down a narrow bridge with missing slats.
"None of your business."
Then I'm unable to find him for you. The man stepped closer.
Do not test my patience.
I'm not trying to test your patience, but Fode is my employee. So I must ask again, what do you want with him? He stepped forward, crowding Ian's space. Whether stupid or brave, Ian didn't back away. Instead, he kept eye contact with the man who looked as though he was built from solid granite. Feeling a presence next to him, he lost eye contact to find Gwen next to him. She wrapped her hand around his forearm, trying to pull him away. For her, he backed up a few steps. He didn't want anything to happen to her, but he couldn't allow these men to tear through the village. The man's dark lips curled at the corners, and Ian realized he had just shown his weakness. Gwen, would he ever catch a break from the cutthroats of Sierra Leone? Fode is my friend as well as employee, Ian said, trying to tuck Gwen behind him but not having any luck. She was as determined to keep him out of their reach and kept pulling out of his grasp. If he owes you money, I will pay it.
U.S. currency.
Ian nodded.
$1 million.
Ian didn't let his shock show, but he nearly buckled. Come back in 2 weeks and I'll have your money. The man eyed him suspiciously.
Just like that?
What do you mean?
You would pay Fode's debt without question.
I said he's my friend. I will stand by whatever mistake he has made, but I don't have money in the village. It will take 2 weeks.
We'll take the diamonds instead.
We have none. Our land is dry.
That's not what Fode said.
And just what did Fode say? Ian demanded. He tried to keep his voice steady and unaffected. He felt anything but that. Had it been Fode who had leaked the photo? Had he made a deal with these mercenaries? Ian heard a shout from down the road. He turned to find Saba running toward them. Saba, no! Ian called out.
Saba!
The man turned and a wide smile appeared. As soon as she was close, he picked her up in a hug. She laughed as he swung her around. When he finally set her back down, she said,
I'm so happy to see you. Did you just get back? How long are you staying?
It depends on your dad.
Why does it depend on him?
He called and asked for help. I had the men assemble as soon as I could.
Oh,
she said, sounding surprised.
but why would he need the dark lions?
Dark Lions? Ian couldn't believe Saba was speaking to a member of the Dark Lions, as if she were discussing dinner plans with Jala. Ian had known they were mercenaries, but he never suspected that they were the Dark Lions, the deadliest of them all.
Ian,
Saba said, turning her attention to him as if she had just realized he was there.
this is my cousin, Boma.
She turned to her cousin.
Boma, this is Ian. You wouldn't have met him. He arrived about a year after you left. He's been a great help to the village.
Boma glared at Ian.
Not from what I hear.
What do you mean?
Saba looked questioningly at Boma.
Ian owns the mine at the river. He gave our whole family jobs. He also built a school and a clinic.
Which drew attention.
Boma pointed at the rubble.
It's because of him that this happened.
Don't say that. Ian has become part of the family. Everyone loves him, and he always tries to help anyone he can.
Then why would Fode contact me for help if he has him?
Boma snarled that last word as if it were a curse.
I don't know, but instead of getting angry, we can go and ask him. He's down at the river with Gerard.
Who is Gerard?
Saba exhaled a weary sigh.
He's the mine supervisor. Be nice to him.
She started toward the river but stopped.
Oh, I forgot to introduce you to Gwen. She and Ian were just married yesterday. You should have been here. We could have used an extra drum.
Gwen gave a hesitant nod of acknowledgement to Boma. He returned the gesture before pulling Saba away and giving the signal to the drivers to follow. Slowly the caravan moved down the road. Once villagers recognized Boma, they came out to greet him as if he were a king returning home. Gwen stood next to Ian as they watched the sluggish progression.
Who are the Dark Lions?
Mercenaries, murderers. He nearly added thieves, but he didn't want to offend Gwen. She was nothing like the Dark Lions, but it would have sounded as if he was tossing her in with that bloodthirsty group.
Why would Fode call them?
I don't know, but I intend to find out. Why don't you wait for me at the cabin? I'll meet you there in a little while. She shook her head.
No, I'm staying with you.
Gwen, please. I don't know what to expect from these men. They might be on friendly terms with Saba and Fode, but Boma obviously doesn't like outsiders. I don't want you to get hurt.
And I don't want you to get hurt. We are in this together.
Just like you want me involved with your problem with Duvine? Are we really in this together? Ian heard his defensive tone, but was powerless to stop it. Instead of being happy, she would want to stay with him and not run away screaming. He was being petty. He hated himself at that moment. Gwen reached out to touch him, but then dropped her hand.
You are right. I shouldn't force my way in when you don't want my help. I'll wait for you at the cabin. Just be careful, please.
She started down the road and Ian followed. What was it about her that he couldn't seem to shake? It was as if he wanted her around him night and day, but yet keep her at a distance when it mattered. He suspected she was doing the same to him. It had to stop. Gwen was strong. She was a survivor. Ian would not push her away. In fact, an idea was brewing, something similar to a thought he'd had before, but had tossed aside. Now that the Dark Lions were here, maybe things would be different. He'd have to speak to Fode first and see why he called in the mercenaries. Ian just hoped they wouldn't back him into a corner like the rebels had.
Gwen looked around the table she'd sat at just outside of the canteen. All the key players were gathered at it. Ian and Gerard sat on either side of her. Fode and Boma sat across from them. And Manny sat in the middle, wondering where the food was. The rest of the Dark Lions were inside, drinking and waiting for their leader's order. At first, she had been upset that Ian didn't want her here. Why had he suddenly caved? Now she wondered if he had been right. She felt as though she were an accessory piece, something that wasn't crucial to the ensemble. Saba had brought out a round of pollo for them. Ian clenched his glass in front of him. She suspected it was to keep his hand steady. She had seen it shake for just a moment when they first sat down. Gwen stole a quick peek at Ian. He didn't seem nervous, more frustrated and apprehensive. No one spoke until the drinks were about a quarter gone. The tension steadily rose until finally Fode spoke.
Ian, the day Jasper was here, I went to town to call my nephew Boma, as a way to apologize to you.
Surprised, Ian blinked.
Apologize for what?
You are right. Someone from the village leaked a photo.
Who?
Fode looked down at his hands for a moment.
I'd rather not say. The person came to me and begged for my help. They had been confronted by an outsider about a month ago, and since everyone thought the mine was dry, they thought they'd get some extra money, and that the photo would turn out to be useless.
But the photo generated attention.
Fode nodded.
Which is why I sent for Boma. We will need his protection. We were without it before, and the village was torn apart. What if they turn on the people next?
Ian scrubbed his hand over his face.
So far, only 2 people have come to investigate the legitimacy of the photo. Has there been word that more will come?
Gwen was relieved Ian had not named her as one of the 2, but she could feel Gerard's watchful gaze on her.
We've heard the rebels have been seen to the north.
Boma said.
They are assembling for something big.
And government forces?
Gerard asked.
Not that I've heard.
Boma said.
I have men scattered around the village perimeter. But if the rebels or militia strike, we won't have time to do anything about it.
Then we have to make our move now. We can't wait until tonight.
Did you already have a plan?
Boma leaned forward and propped his elbows on the table. Ian looked to Fode.
I think it would be better if we spoke alone.
You can trust Boma. He will help.
Anyone you trust, I will as well.
Ian looked to Boma.
But can your team be trusted? I've heard things about the Dark Lions, and none of it is good.
And most of it is false.
Boma leaned back, unaffected. Ian raised a brow.
False?
You can't believe everything you hear. The only reason we are so well known is because we feed the rumors.
Why would you do that? Gwen asked. He glanced at her, his lips curling.
It makes our job easier. The more fear generated, the less we actually have to do when the time comes. Now we just show up, and that's enough to open doors.
Those rumors wouldn't have spread so widely if there wasn't some truth to them. Boma shrugged.
We don't back down. Once we're hired, we complete the job to satisfaction. Our word is our guarantee.
Ian sipped the pollo, watching Boma above the rim. When he set the glass down, he said,
But no one here hired you. You came on Fode's request. How do we know your men will follow through with no contract?
Boma smirked.
I'm sure that $1 million you were so ready to hand over will help their allegiance.
Fode banged his fist against the table, jerking everyone's attention to him.
No, I called you here to help. I will not have you steal from Ian. Too many people have already. He has done nothing but kind, selfless things for us. For your grandma too. Ian gives all of the money back to the village in the form of schools and medical attention. If you steal from him, you steal from us.
Fode looked hard at Boma.
You left us to pursue a life of your own. We feared for you, loved you, and accepted your life. But not now. If you continue down this road, you will be dead to us. All of us.
Boma's eyes widened ever so slightly, giving Gwen a glimpse into Boma the villager, not the mercenary. He studied Fode for a moment before nodding.
We will aid you however you need.
Fode took a breath and then tipped his head in acknowledgement.
Thank you for that.
Ian said to Fode.
But I think I would like to hire Boma and his men. I think we would all benefit from a detailed contract.
It is not necessary. Our word is as good as any contract.
Yes, but if it comes down to it, would your men fight the rebels, knowing they might die for nothing? If they knew a cut of the money would be sent to their families, it would ease their minds and give them a reason to continue.
Boma smirked.
If you think they're worried about death, then you haven't seen us fight. None of us has that fear.
Gwen wished she could tap into his blind courage. While she thought he was blowing smoke, she was envious that she couldn't do the same. Sure, she bluffed her way through some tight spots, but she was never this fearless. There was always her father to think about, and the repercussions if she failed.
Take my offer. Once you know the plan, I don't want any ill feelings between us.
Boma studied Ian before turning to Fode.
Am I allowed to accept without having Grandma run me through with a kitchen knife?
Grandma will spare you.
He looked to Ian.
Then I accept. Tell me the plan.